Washington, D.C., ahead of his first meeting with U.S. President Trump in the White House later.
This is happening right now. Boats are still arriving. Officers are stretched thin. Processing centers are full. And just minutes ago, new reports raised a serious question no one in power wants to answer clearly. Has United Kingdom finally lost control of its borders? Just moments ago, fresh information confirmed another surge of small boats crossing the channel, pushing Britain's border system further into crisis. These are not isolated cases. This is not a one-day spike. It is part of a pattern that has been building week after week, and now the pressure is reaching a breaking point. According to early reports, multiple boats arrived within hours, carrying large numbers of people at once. Border teams were forced to respond quickly, pulling resources from other areas just to manage arrivals. Some processing centers were already near capacity before today. After these latest crossings, officials are once again scrambling to find space, staff, and temporary solutions. What makes this moment different is the timing and the scale. These crossings happened despite patrols, surveillance, and repeated promises of tougher controls. The weather conditions were not extreme. The sea was passable. And that has raised serious concerns. If crossings can happen this easily, what exactly is stopping them? Sources close to the situation say frontline staff are exhausted. Many are working long hours with limited support. Some facilities are described as overcrowded, with people waiting longer than planned to be processed. Temporary housing is being used more often, and emergency measures are becoming routine instead of rare. Officials insist that the system is managing, but the facts suggest otherwise. When emergency responses happen every week, it is no longer an emergency. It is the new normal. And that is what worries many observers. Systems designed to handle pressure are now operating under constant strain. Local authorities are also feeling the impact. Councils report sudden arrivals with little warning. Services like healthcare, transport, and accommodation are under stress. Communities are asking questions, not out of anger, but out of confusion. How did it get this far? And why does it keep happening? This latest development has reignited a debate that never really went away. Is Britain reacting to events instead of controlling them? Are decisions being made too late after the damage is already done? And most importantly, is anyone truly in charge of the border right now? As this situation continues to unfold, one thing is clear. What just happened is not just another headline. It is a signal that the system is under pressure like never before, and that the answers the public is waiting for are still missing. The pictures coming in tell a story that words alone cannot hide. Small boats reaching the shore, groups being guided off beaches, police vans lined up, temporary barriers placed in a rush. These scenes are becoming familiar, and that is exactly the problem. On the coastline, officers are seen responding again and again, often within hours of previous arrivals. Some boats arrive early in the morning, others come later the same day. There is little pause in between. The response looks calm on the surface, but behind it is pressure, fatigue, and urgency. This is not a rare event anymore. It is routine. At processing centers, the situation is even more telling. People are waiting longer than expected. Spaces meant for short stays are being used for much longer periods. Staff move quickly, trying to keep order and follow procedure, but the numbers keep coming. When one group is processed, another arrives. The system barely has time to reset. Temporary accommodation is now a key part of the response. Hotels, holding sites, and short-term facilities are being used again and again. These were meant to be backups. Now, they are essential. This shift shows how stretched the system has become. When backup plans turn into main plans, it is a clear sign of strain. Local footage shows buses moving people away from arrival points, often under tight security. Roads are blocked briefly. Residents watch from a distance. There is no chaos, but there is tension. People see the same scenes repeating and start asking quiet but serious questions about control and planning. What stands out most is the contrast. On one side, official messages speak of control, order, and strategy. On the other, the visuals show constant reaction. Boats arrive, authorities respond, space runs out. New space is found. Then it starts again. There is little sign of prevention, only response. Experts watching these scenes say the visuals matter, not because they shock, but because they repeat. When the same images appear week after week, trust begins to weaken. People start to wonder whether promises match reality. This is why these images are so powerful. They are not dramatic because of violence or disorder. They are powerful because they show normality under pressure. A system still working but clearly stretched, still standing but bending more each time. And as these scenes continue to play out, the question grows louder. If this is what control looks like, how close is the system to being overwhelmed? As these events unfold, attention turns to those in charge. The response from the government has been firm in tone, but careful in detail. Officials say the situation is under control. They repeat that borders are being protected. They promise that new measures are working. But many are asking whether these words match what is happening on the ground. Ministers point to patrols, agreements, and enforcement plans. They say crossings are being monitored and managed. They stress that action is being taken. Yet, each new arrival weakens that message. When boats continue to land, the public starts to doubt the strength of these claims. Statements often focus on the future. New laws, new partnerships, new systems that will soon make a difference. But for many people, soon has started to sound like a delay. The crisis is happening now, not months from now. And each day without visible change adds to frustration. Behind closed doors, pressure is growing. Reports suggest disagreements over funding, staffing, and responsibility. Some departments are blamed for delays. Others say they are doing all they can with limited resources. This lack of clear ownership is adding to the sense that no single authority is fully in charge. Opposition voices have become louder. They argue that repeated promises have failed. They point to rising costs and stretched services. They say the current approach is not working and demand answers. While the debate grows, the situation at the border does not pause. Local leaders are also speaking out. Councils say they are being asked to respond at short notice. Communities are given little time to prepare. Support services feel the impact first, often without extra help. This has created tension between local and national leadership. The government insists that firm action is coming, but confidence is fragile. Each new statement is judged not by what it says, but by what happens next. And so far, the pattern has not changed. This growing gap between words and reality is shaping public opinion. People are not only asking whether the border is secure, they are asking whether those in charge truly understand the scale of the problem. And as pressure builds from all sides, one question remains unanswered. If the plan is working, why does the situation keep getting worse? This is where the story becomes bigger than boats and borders. What is happening now is forcing a national question, not about one policy or one decision, but about control itself. When the same problem repeats without clear change, people start to wonder who is really in charge. Control does not mean stopping every crossing. Experts agree that no border is perfect, but control means setting limits, reducing pressure, and showing clear direction. Right now, many feel those signs are missing. The system appears to be reacting instead of leading. Public trust is at the center of this issue. When leaders say one thing and reality shows another, trust slowly fades. People begin to doubt not just border policy, but decision-making as a whole. This loss of confidence can be more damaging than the crossings themselves. There are also wider effects. Border pressure affects housing, healthcare, policing, and local budgets. These are everyday services people rely on. When they feel the strain, the issue stops being distant and becomes personal. That is when concern turns into anger, and anger turns into division. This situation has also become a symbol. For some, it represents weak leadership. For others, it shows a system that has been pushed beyond its limits. Different views, same fear, that the country is drifting without firm direction. The question many are asking is simple, but serious. If the border cannot be managed, what else is at risk? Security, public order, confidence in government. These concerns are no longer extreme views. They are becoming part of everyday conversation. And yet there is still no clear ending to this story. No moment where everything changes. No single decision that fixes the problem overnight. What exists instead is uncertainty, and uncertainty spreads fast. As this story continues to develop, one thing is clear. Britain is at a crossroads. The choices made now will shape public trust for years to come. So the final question remains, and it is one that cannot be ignored. Has Britain lost control of its borders, or is this the moment when real control finally begins?